I don't want to rip out a seam sweater. You totally can. I would never do it, honestly. I'd give it away. Hi, I'm Sharon, and this is episode 314 of the Knit Style Podcast. Hi, everybody, and this is Sharon coming to you from my studio room. It's a little hot up here, but I decided it cooled off a little bit here in New York, and I thought I would try to record up here. And I've switched things around a little bit, so you'll have to let me know what you think. But yeah, this is going to be my set moving forward. Next week's supposed to be hot again, so we'll see. Anyway, so Rich has been taking a break from the show, and we have decided that he is not going to be returning as a regular host. I am going to continue with the show solo. And the main reason for this is I'm taking this channel in a different direction. I don't know if you've noticed, in the last month or so, I have been talking about more knitting-focused topics, and I'm going to continue that. Each show is going to have a specific knitting topic segment, and it's just easier for me to do that being a solo host. So I'm very excited about it, and Rich may come on. If he does some knitting, maybe he'll come on and talk about it in the future, but not as a regular co-host. So it's going to work out great. It's easier for me for scheduling purposes. You know, sometimes I feel like recording and then he doesn't, and then he feels like it and I don't. It's like co-host wrangling. And this is much easier on me because I'm a busy lady, which is awesome. Okay, let's move on from that. You guys have really been enjoying the shows that I've been putting out. Everybody really loved the last one about how to frog a sweater, or what to do with a sweater that isn't working. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But before I do, I want you all to remind you all, please give this a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell if you want to be notified when a new episode drops. That would really help me out a lot, especially with this new direction that I'm taking. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. So let's start off by showing you the yarn that I dyed this week. I love recording here because I can put everything in front of me. It's so much easier. So, I don't know if you know, I'm a big Disney fan. And Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out very soon, I think this month. I will not be seeing it in the theaters because I have decided, moving forward in my life, I am no longer going to theaters. It has absolutely nothing to do with COVID whatsoever. I don't enjoy going and sitting in a theater. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Some people love it. They get their popcorn and they get the big screen, whatever. It's just nothing that I ever really loved, even when I was younger. And I just decided there's so many ways nowadays to consume content, and I'm not really a movie person anyway. I'll watch the Disney movies, but they come out on streaming. So I'd rather wait until my movies come out on streaming to watch them, and I'm never going to a theater again. But Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out, and I did some colorways. So I did Hocus Pocus colors a few years ago. I've tweaked them. They're different. They may have the same character name, but they're definitely different. So here they are. Here they all are. I think they're beautiful. Very, very happy with how they came out. So this one, I'll show them to you individually. This one is "We're Back, Witches," which I think is the tagline of the movie, which is so funny. This one is Winnie. This one is Sarah. This one is Mary. And this one is Spellbook. Here they all are. I love them. They're in the shop right now. If you're interested, you can knit Helen Stewart's entire Land of Sweets cowl with 6 minis. So if you have any minis laying around that would coordinate with these, like black or brown or whatever, orange, you can knit that cowl. I'm going to show you my finished object in a few minutes, and it's beautiful. I love it. Okay, so I did a full skein with another theme from the movie, or not theme, but it was a character in the first movie. I assume it's going to be not a character. It was an element in the first movie. It will probably be in the second movie, but I think this came out awesome. This is the black candle. It's got some spooky elements to it. I'm thrilled with this color. I love it. The black candle. I will be doing full skeins of some of these next week. I didn't have time this week, but yeah. So I also have a beautiful bag yarn combo. This is our last Halloween bag yarn combo. I'm going to have a fall one to show you next week. That's super cool. But I love how this came out. I think I'm going to call it Spooky Halloween, or I don't know, Witches Go Flying, or something like that. Probably Spooky Halloween, because that's what it is. It's Halloween night with all of the elements, and I think it's gorgeous, and I love how the yarn came out. So that's the Halloween bag for this week. Again, if you want to do a Helen Stewart cowl in all one color, this would be gorgeous. I am really into that cowl. I want to knit another one. I'll show you why later. So, and the only other yarn that I have this week is I ran out of Slutty Pumpkin. We can't have that this time of year, so I have Slutty Pumpkin in the shop. I love Slutty Pumpkin. I should knit myself a sweater. The only thing is, I don't know. What do you guys think? Can I wear this color? I think I can, because it's definitely it's a burnt orange, and I think I could pull it off. I like it. I think it looks good with most complexions. Okay. So that's the yarn update for this week, and that is awesome. So I have a giveaway, and I pulled 2 names because I have 4 skeins of this, and 2 winners will be getting 2 skeins each. Winner number 1 is Debbie Mackenzie. Congratulations, Debbie. Email me, Sharon@knitstyleryarns.com, and I will get this out to you. And the second winner is Yellow Bird Knits. Congratulations. And I will get this out to you. Send me an email, Sharon@knitstyleryarns.com. And Debbie said that my sweater episode last week was very helpful to her, and Yellow Bird Knits said that she also had trouble with the neckline on Humulus, and yeah, that was a little crazy. Okay, this week's giveaway, I have 2 again. This is an unclaimed prize, and this is the prize for this week. So these are both sock yarns, fingering weight. This is Xenon. It's a superwash merino nylon, and this is another superwash merino nylon with neps. So yeah, just put a comment down below about anything you would like me to talk about in future episodes. Okay, what have I been knitting? I was obsessed, and I finished my Land of Sweets cowl. It's so big, it won't even fit in the frame, practically. This is my Land of Sweets cowl by Helen Stewart, and I color blocked it. So I used 6 minis. I used a black one for the border, and then I used 5. And I kind of broke this up into 5 segments, even though it's originally broken up into 24, but it's okay. So here it is. Isn't it cute? It's really cute on. Lots of color. It's cozy. It's not quite as roomy as my original one, but that's okay. It'll be nice for the fall. Like I wish I wore a black shirt because I thought I was gonna wear it. No, it is way too hot. But you can wear it that way. You could even turn it around and wear it with another color flipped up. This isn't quite as Halloween-y looking. Maybe it is. I don't know. I love it. It's so pretty. So this was a 5 skein, mini skein set that I had dyed last year, and I had 2 left sitting there, and I'm like, I'm just going to cast this on and knit this up, and so glad I did, although I have to say I would love another one in these colors of these minis. So yeah, that might happen. If I don't sell them all, I might steal one and knit another one. Okay, so that's that. I'm very happy with that. And on Charlotte behind me, my mannequin, I have the other Land of Sweets cowl that I knit from a Jinx yarn skein that I had in sport weight. It's called Abandoned Carnival. I finally bound it off and finished it, and I love it. It's not as long as this one. I mean, it's a little wider and not quite as long, but it's a lovely cowl. I didn't knit all of the repeats. I just threw some in willy-nilly. This is what it looks like on. I absolutely love it. This is going to go with a lot of what I wear. I love it. It's beautiful. So I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of these this fall. I'm very excited about it. You just throw them on. They keep you cozy and warm, and it's amazing. So, I finished this, and I was so sad. I'm usually like, oh, thank God it's done. I was sad that I have to knit another one. I was so sad that this was over. But I immediately cast on the pair of socks that I frogged, the ones that were too big, knitting socks for M's partner, Brian. And so I just recast them on last night. And I think 72 stitches are going to do it just fine for his feet. And I'm enjoying it. I'm into knitting smaller projects lately. Not sure why. That's very unusual for me. And I thought I would take advantage of it. Maybe because I got burned with all those sweaters. I don't know. Speaking of sweaters, let's continue our talk about ripping out sweaters that have already been knit. So I had two questions that I want to address. The first question was, what do I do with the yarn after I finish ripping it out? Do I just re-knit it like this, or do I wash it and reskein it? And the answer is I always wash and reskein it, because I can't stand knitting with ramen yarn. It just drives me crazy. So right over there, I will take a video of it with my phone. Right behind my lights, behind us, I have a Swift. And this is the Ultra Umbrella Swift from Shocked Spindle Company. And that Swift breaks down. If you could see that little handle with the ring on it, you pull that and it'll fold down, and you can then use it as a skein winder. Worth every penny that I paid for it, because I use it all the time with my business, and I use it for winding yarn, obviously. So I will reskein these, and I will wash them, and they will get even softer. So that's that question. And then I had another question. They asked me, I'm sorry, I looked back to try to find the person who asked this one. They asked me, how do you rip out a sweater? Can you show us? And yes, I would be happy to. So, the first thing that I would suggest if you're going to rip out a completely finished object, whether it be sweater, shawl, etc., is to know how it was constructed. Sometimes this will be easy for you to find. Just get your pattern and you can figure it out from there, whether it was top down, bottom up, seamed, not seamed, in the round, partially seamed, whatever. So grab your pattern. If for some reason you get this sweater at Goodwill and you don't know, you don't have the pattern, you can try and look it up on Ravelry. Ravelry is a great database for that. You can, put in a search and try and find your sweater. If you can't, let me give you some tips. Let's look at the difference between a sweater that has been seamed and a sweater that is knit in the round. I showed you this sweater last week. I will be ripping this one out. Or the sleeves. I'll be ripping the sleeves out of this one because they're too tight. So this sweater, first of all, most colorwork sweaters are knit in the round. So if it's a colorwork sweater, it's likely that it was knit in the round. Okay. Another identifying factor is you just look at the sides and see if there's a seam. If there's not a seam, like this one doesn't have a seam, then you know it was knit in the round. Okay, now I have a sweater here that is seamed. I knit this one a while back. This was a custom fit pattern by Amy Herzog. Amy Herzog always, I'm going to say always, writes a pattern with seams. She's a firm believer in the structure that seams give you. So the way I feel about it is I honestly don't notice that much of a difference. Although when you knit a seam sweater and the set-in sleeve fits you really nicely, the sweater's gorgeous. I'm going to try the sweater on actually, even though it's very hot. This one did fit me when I knit it. I've probably gained a little weight since I knit it, but I think it was a little big. So now it should fit fine. We'll see. Yeah, this one fits me really nice. I improvised this lace collar. This sweater was knit bottom up. And you can see right here, there is a visible seam. And also in the shoulder. And look how beautifully this shoulder fits me. I have to wear this more often. This is gorgeous. It's a beautiful sweater. It's a fingering weight. I think I haven't really been wearing it, but I think the reason, I don't know. I tend to just throw sweatshirts on, and I just kind of forgot I had this sweater. But I'm going to be wearing it. Look how beautiful. It fits me perfect, and the sleeves are perfect. So now, one thing about custom fit is you do measure yourself. And you take a lot of measurements. I think custom fit is still around. And then you put in the measurements, and it generates your pattern according to the gauge that you knit. And this was a successful sweater. I really like it. But anyway, so you can tell there's seams, obviously, because, you know, there's an obvious break in the fabric. Sometimes you can put in sometimes people put in faux seams, so you might want to look at that. But in order to rip out, all right, I'll talk about the seam sweater in a minute. Let's talk about a sweater knit in the round. So, when I got this question, I stopped ripping these. I had started ripping them. Here is the Humulus sweater. This sweater was top down. So I obviously ripped from the bottom up. If you start going the wrong way, you'll know right away because it will not unravel. So you can look at your pattern to see where you bound it off and wove in the end. And I actually didn't really do that. I could see where I bound off and wove in the end. So I just unpicked that little bumpy spot, and I was able to start ripping out from there. So now I can show you. I'm going to rip out the sleeve on this one. So you kind of have to look closely to your bind off, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here, but you can see that little spot right there looks a little bit different. So that's where I wove in the end. I finished it off and wove in the end, right in this little spot right here. So that's where I'll start ripping. So I started with the body, and then I thought, well, that's kind of silly, because when I get up here, I'm going to have to have the sleeve gone, because the sleeve was put on after the body was knit. So I ripped out one of the sleeves just so I could show you. This is the yarn. So I ripped it out. There, it was, sleeve was knit top down. I ripped it back. And then what's going to happen is this is all going to get taken out. And then it'll just come out. You know, where you joined it, it all should just unravel, no problem now, because it was knit in one piece. It's pretty easy. Unlike knitting a seam sweater, ripping a seam sweater is a little more challenging. It can be done. I've never done it, nor do I want to. I think if I wanted this yarn, I would try and find the yarn and buy it. I don't want to rip out a seam sweater. You totally can. It's not as easy as ripping out a sweater knit in the round. So, in order to rip out a seamed sweater, I would turn it inside out. All of Amy Herzog's sweaters are knit bottom up. So, first thing you have to do, the sleeves are put on last. So, see this seam on the inside here? You have to find where you finished it off and try and unpick it. Once you find it, it should be fairly easy. It should come right out. It's just the mattress stitch most often, and it rips. It's tedious. I have ripped out mattress stitch. It's tedious. And once you do that, you can rip out the sleeve. So this sleeve was probably knit bottom up. Yeah. So you would rip it from the sleeve cap down. And did I knit? Oh no, this is all seamed. This entire thing is seamed. So I have to take out the shoulder. I have to take out this sleeve seam. I have to take out the other shoulder and the other sleeve seam. And then I have to take out the sides. No. And if you want to do it, usually you seam bottom up, how you knit it. If it was a bottom up sweater, most sweaters are seamed bottom up, I think. So you have to start from the top and knit and unknit it that way. Once you get everything taken apart, you can then frog it. I would never do it, honestly. I'd give it away. A sweater knit in the round is a million times easier than ripping out a sweater that is seamed. So, what do you do if you have a sweater knit in the round, but you cannot for the life of you find out where you finished the sweater off? And that happened to me, actually. I started frogging this hideous pocket sweater I showed you last week. And I could not find where I bound it off, where I finished the bind. Could not. I looked and I looked and I couldn't find it. So I knew it had to be on the side here somewhere. Usually it starts with your right shoulder. So what I did was I just took a scissor and I snipped the bind off and I unraveled, and you're going to lose some yarn that way for sure. But it should unravel. Now the bind off can be tricky to unravel because the bind off will tend to stick to each other. Sometimes you might just lose yarn, and I was fine with that. I didn't lose that much though, maybe just a couple of yards, not a big deal. But I have extra of this, so it's not a big deal. So I was able to finally get it going, and then I had to deal with that pocket that was right here. But it actually was fine because the pocket must have been, I tried to read the pattern. I'm going to be honest with you. I just had no patience. I didn't want to read back in the pattern and see how that pocket was constructed. I didn't care. I was just like, I'm just going to rip. So I ripped it up to the pocket, and then it seemed like I must have done a 2-needle bind off to bind off that pocket, I guess. I don't even know. But it came out. The whole pocket came out. So it's gone. It's now yarn. And I didn't finish ripping because I wanted to show you guys. Now, I think I did some fancy, I might have put like a crochet edge in here on the sleeve part to kind of make it a little smaller. So I may have to do some cutting here. I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know. But so far I'm really happy with how these are coming out. So I'll let you know next week. I'm hoping to have these ripped and washed so you can see the beautiful yarn at the end. I definitely want to preserve this ochre yellow color because I don't have any more of this. And this was very hard to find. I tried to get this color in other bases. I could not find it. I had to buy the original. And it came from the Faroese Islands. It was like, it was fine. It wasn't expensive. It was just, it was a search to find this yarn. So I want to make sure that when I rip out this color work, I preserve the gold because I'm going to reknit this. I looked at other patterns and I didn't really see anything else I liked in worsted weight. What I might do is I might steal a neckline from another sweater and just plop it on this one because this did not work out well for me. And that is how I go about frogging back sweaters that don't work for me. And that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a comment about what you would like to see in future episodes. I have some yarn to give away if you're interested. And yeah, just let me know what you want me to talk about. I have many topics on my mind, but yeah. This segment today that I did was generated by a question by one of you. So I hope you guys liked it. I enjoyed talking about it today. That was really fun. Okay. I hope you have a great week. Knit something beautiful. And cheers!